Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Free Agents podcast. Back for some more pre-agents, for some more fresh meat to closing out the season today. We are talking the back half of episode 10, which is the entire final. We're talking about the reunion, and we're talking about all of our segments, updating the Mount Rushmores, the season rankings, and everything in between. So lots to get into. Of course, I am Matt, and I'm here with Brian Scally. Scally, what's up?
Oh, hello. Excited to talk about this back 10th-ish
Yes.
of the season. Fresh meat to see what we end up deciding on many decisions we'll be making later. But for now, I'm excited to jump into this final.
Yeah, the season has had lots of different feuds, rivalries, storylines, and this final has nothing to do with any of those. There's no bad blood between anybody here in this final, at least to start off with. Actually, maybe between the teams themselves, between the teammates, there's some rivalries going on, but none of it's not like Wes or Evelyn made it to the final here to go against Kenny. Landon's not here as like a big adversary as from any of the rest of these teams, so it's a pretty friendly final, all things considered.
Yeah, it's so funny. Everyone's like, the best four teams made it here. We're all so evenly matched. And I'm like, are you? Like, I don't know about that exactly, but okay. If we were going to say that these are the 8 most virtuous, amazing people that all made it to the end of the season, well, then I guess congratulations. I disagree on at least a couple.
Good for all of you. I'm so happy for you guys. Yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll see how they perform in the final. And again, maybe some drama between the teammates as we, of course, put those relationships and friendships to the test, seeing how they interact in such a high-pressured environment such as a final. Before we actually talk about the final and how the teams perform, just wanted to see what you're feeling about this final and how difficult it was compared to any of the previous ones we've seen.
I feel like there are definitely parts of this final that are very difficult. I think that we're starting to get into the territory of the we're gonna do this one thing and then pretend it was all part of a final, and you're gonna get like a 30-second head start, which I don't love. A lot of hurry up and stop and go later. So that's not my favorite format of a final, but I think relatively difficult for finals, especially as of so far.
Take a shot, of course, every time I ask, is this the first time that we've gotten blank? But is this the first time that we've gotten the mountain? I can't remember the snowy mountain, climbing all the way up the mountain in any of the 18 seasons prior to this.
Yeah, I can't.
And that's what I think of as like the staple of a challenge final. Like climbing up a really tough mountain to climb is going to come in so many upcoming seasons. I can't remember it happening so far.
Yeah, I'm looking through past seasons and I don't have one off the top of my head. I just needed to like look at the names of seasons to be like that one. No. So yeah, I do think this is the first mountain climb we have.
I mean, the mountain that goes from just like basic, standard
It's
mountain
snowy.
at the bottom to at the top, there is snow everywhere. That type of height of a mountain. So that's what we have on our hands here. We have our 4 finalist teams, which are, of course, Jen and Noor, who just came back from beating Teresa and Ryan in the elimination. We have this season's standouts, and Laurel and Kenny have been dominating all the challenges alongside their close allies, Pete and Jill. And then we also have the only remaining pair from the other side of the house, if you want to say that's mostly where they were, Landon and Carly. The 4 teams before we get to the final, all just giving us, their thoughts about where they are, how they feel like they're going to do. Some teams more confident than the others. Kenny talks about how he knows he's going to win another one, so suck my ass. Literally every bananas line that ever existed comes from Kenny, but that's besides the point.
Lifted entire personality.
Crazy. Even like the reunion, it's just like every comment that Kenny makes about Wes, all of them just copy paste onto the Johnny Bananas playbook. But yeah, any takeaways from watching the teams get ready? It's nothing too exciting, but
no, I think that it was kind of fun seeing the fresh meat all get ready. Outside of Laurel, who's just like the Terminator, essentially, everyone else is, like, all right, tomorrow's really gonna suck. It's gonna be so horrible, but it'll be over eventually. It'll be over.
Jen and Noor definitely seemed nervous going into it, and we're going to see that they struggle through a lot of this final. They talk about how they're much smaller than everybody else. I mean, yeah, that's definitely a factor. It's also Noor has been like through the ringer with his health over the past couple of weeks or whatever days. He was hooked up to the asthma machine, so I feel like they had multiple reasons to feel nervous going into this one. But everybody else, like, you might make some money, so you should feel okay.
I could be wrong, but when Jen is complaining specifically about the canoe and she's like, oh, it's just so much harder because we're so much smaller than everyone. I'm like, you guys float a lot higher on the water because you're so much smaller than everyone. I feel like being heavier is a big disadvantage in boating activities. So I don't know how much I'm buying. Jen is small, and so she has this huge, unless she can't physically reach the water with her paddle. I'm not seeing the problem.
I have I can't be of any help with this because I spent the entire cruise that we went on being like, how is this heavy ass boat floating in the water? I know there's an answer. I even looked it up like 10 times to just like science answer myself. But yeah, I can't figure it out. It's just magic to me. But that's besides the point. Yeah, let's get into the final where canoes are going to certainly be involved. They're going to eventually be making their way to the top of the mountain that we already talked about. TJ describes that it's going to be in 2 phases with, I think he said 4 checkpoints with a bunch of different tasks and puzzles along the way. This first phase does start off with a canoe race to get across this lake, whatever you want to call it, to eventually get to, a puzzle that they have to do and then get on a helicopter.
Yes, one more giant tangram before they can claim their head start. And depending on which place you will come in, you will get a head start in phase 2.
Yeah, this head start was really helpful, I'm sure, to all of these teams. I mean, that's what you were talking about earlier.
Did any of the orders change ever since the head starts?
Don't think so.
So it might have been like, I don't think, I wonder how far behind each of these placements was. I don't think that the bottom 2 placements were ever changing without the head starts. Like maybe that 1 minute made a difference on, Kenny and Laurel versus Landon and Carly, but I think even still probably not.
Yeah, first place was going to get a 2-minute head start, second place a 1 minute, and third place 30 seconds. So very small increments, but to your point, didn't really change much. We also just remind everybody, first place is going to take home $100,000 each. That's per person. Second place is going to be splitting $60,000. Third place splits $40,000. Fourth place, you may as well have gone home week 1, as TJ says. You get nothing. So that's the money.
Unfortunate.
All good. Well, not for the team that comes in fourth. But yeah, we get to the canoeing, which is where Jen and Noor immediately are struggling. But all the other teams, they get there eventually. Landon and Carly get the first head start, followed by Kenny and Laurel, and then Jillian and Pete.
Yeah, going to go ahead and get there fast. I think that really the problem was the tangram. Landon and Carly have been practicing those all season long. I feel like every time we've basically seen Carly on screen, it's been them practicing tangrams. So even though they hadn't solved this exact one, I think it probably came in pretty handy.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe this is bad on me as I'm driving the conversation here, but I feel like, of course, we're not hiding the fact that our winners of this season, Landon and Carly, it's going to be interesting to talk through the final just along the lines of like how they did with the team behind them, the runners up of the season, Kenny and Laurel, how they did in not catching up to Landon and Carly. Yeah. Carly specifically is seen as not the strongest competitor, but she gets the win. And every step along the way, even when you see Carly struggling here at times, it's not like Kenny and Laurel are passing them.
No, they are not. And I just want to reiterate, imagine Landon and Laurel as a team. Do you think Kenny and Carly get second place?
I don't know. I mean, like, we do see some scenes that make it seem like Laurel is holding up Kenny and Laurel. But I think they might have just all had to take a lot of breaks along the way. And
Yeah.
like Landon was just far and away the strongest competitor out there. Even when we see Kenny like running up the mountain at one point, like Landon doesn't stop moving, even with the
No,
all the weight on his own. He's not trying to share it with his partner like Kenny and Laurel kind of were at times.
they definitely were.
Yeah, he's just a monster.
Yeah, Landon's crazy. Like, it is wild. Just never even thinks about handing the weight to Carly, whereas Laurel is, carrying that 80-pound bag supposedly all by herself at points. So, Pete gives it to Jill to drag behind her. Do we even see Jen and Nor with the bag at any point? Do they even make it? Like,
No, I think there's like a time in the final where we completely cut out Jillian and Pete and Jen and Nor because we're just focusing on the teams that are actually looking realistic to get the win. And even more so, Jen and Nor are just like out of the edit for a long time.
Yeah, I just like did they pick them up at the bottom of the mountain? Like I just think this was a like, all right, well, let's sit down and get our $0. So unfortunate for them.
Yeah, Jen says that her legs were cramping so much from exile the night before, which is fair. I mean, they went through a pretty strenuous, but also I mean, I don't want to like say it's not an excuse, but like I would imagine, and I'm not the athlete to speak on this, but that like if you've been training all season and keeping yourself, in your top physical shape, then that shouldn't completely affect it. But I don't know. I could be, it looked
Jen
tough.
never went to exile, would she have gotten third place even?
And not with the confidence that they had.
I don't think
So
so.
yeah, probably not. Just overall, all three of the other teams were obviously a lot stronger, all things considered.
Yep.
But Landon and Carly, who do again come in first place here, we end up on a portion of the final where they have to take mountain bikes up the mountain that are tied together essentially by a rope. And we see all of the teams struggling with this. I would say that from where I was sitting, Laurel and Kenny were doing the best at riding them together side by side. Every other team was either like somebody couldn't ride it. Jillian doesn't know how to ride a bike. Okay. Or some of them just like couldn't keep their legs moving. So you see like Landon having to hold both bikes as he walks up the mountain with Carly barely walking up behind them. So seemed tough.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Jill, who's I think literally had never ridden a bike, it basically seems she figures it out for a minute or two. Jen, who's like, I haven't ridden a bike since I was 6. What? So these people are very much struggling. Ends up mostly being carry these bikes up the mountain in terms of a task rather than riding up. But at least for the straightaways, you should really get on that bike if you can.
You would think so. Eventually, Landon got Carly back on the bike and moving, which is like the part of all of this that I think is the most impressive. And I also just wish that we got to see some additional scenes of the two of them, because you would cut from one scene of like Carly is struggling, she's not going to make it up the mountain, she's not going to make it onto the bike or anything, and then you cut to the next scene and she's on the bike or she's getting up the mountain, and I'm like, what? Like I want to see the moment where the switch flipped for her. Like we know that Landon was being a really good coach along the way. At one point, climbing up the mountain towards the end, he describes to us that his head is in between Carly's butt cheeks, pushing her up the mountain, because that is what it took, and that's what she was asking for, and and it worked. But I want to like see the scenes of like her responding back to him, being like, "No, you're right. Let me get back on the bike." But we didn't see those.
I remember that part very clearly of him pushing up her butt with his head. Like that is an image I don't think leaves you very quickly. But I did not remember how much it was like, all right, Landon is walking up the mountain and pulling Carly behind him while she holds onto his shirt, while he holds onto her hand, while he is just literally dragging her. Her feet just have to glide as he basically is carrying her and 2 bicycles up the mountain.
Yeah, it was obviously insanely impressive, and that's just where I still can't get over how Kenny and Laurel didn't catch up. Eventually, so there's a couple different puzzles along the way. There's a Sudoku type puzzle. There's a log puzzle with a bunch of different paint colors on it that they have to put in a specific order. It's just little checkpoints, just like your standard, checkpoints in a final. But throughout them, we see, Kenny and Laurel having some issues with communication. But at the times that Kenny is like trying to motivate her for whatever that means from Kenny, it's like, look, Carly, like we see her, she is so close to us and she is struggling so much. Like we should be able to pass her. And I was like, I believe him. Like I feel like knowing Kenny and Laurel, they should be able to pass Carly in the shape that we see her in. But again, it just never happened.
No, it never does. I mean, they look up the mountain and Carly is like face down in the snow, like not breathing, basically. And it's like, somehow they still aren't able to catch up. It looked like quite the distance, honestly, when they zoomed out. I feel like it looks like it should be a lot closer than it is, but as soon as I saw that distance, I was like, oh, there's no way. That's not flat ground that you have an easy time getting through. I think it was closer of a finish than they probably had been at points during the final, but yeah, they never even really came all that close. There were definitely exiles that were closer, obviously.
Yeah, as far as, I mean, to just kind of bring it all home here for Landon and Carly as they get their win, the blowhorn goes off. TJ's not there at the start, and then eventually he shows up with checks that have their names on them, mind you. So the arts and craft team certainly off to the side of the mountain, making the checks ready to go, in some way, shape, or form. I love
that being their title, the arts and craft team.
What art department is that better?
Sure.
Production. But they get their check. Landon and Carly being the winners here. Carly especially, I mean, look, Carly, to talk about, is never going to return to the challenge. Insane. Because she's become a champion here. It's not insane from a storyline perspective. She had nothing all season, but when we did check in with her, people were like, we don't really get Carly, but she's having fun and she wants to prove that she can do it. And then she proves she can do it.
Yeah, it's weird. She was this like fun party girl who's just going crazy all the time, and yet we really never check in with her again. I feel like we could have given her a lot more storyline, but just choose not to at any point.
Yeah, she's just like one of to me, like the great mysterious losses of the challenge. Just like, where did she go? How did we not even give her like one more chance? Did she decline one more chance? It's not like she was electric television, but like, bring your champion back, give them one last chance, one more chance, even if you don't feel like they are, again, electric TV. I don't know. But she got the job done alongside Landon, who certainly gets the lion's share of the credit for this win, for many of their wins throughout the season. Landon is just literally disgusting, disgustingly good at the challenge. Looking at him is not disgusting, I can say that. But this man is just dominant.
Yeah, I saw a reminder last night, actually, where I feel like I have a couple of like housekeeping things to bring up, but a reminder of if Landon does not actually lose that elimination versus Brad, where Brad like throws the ring in the duel 2, Landon wins that elimination, easily wins the final, and Landon has won 4 out of 4 seasons that he appears on the challenge, so would have tied Darrell's record. Landon is unbelievably good, and I think I had for a long time thought, all right, you guys are really taking this one win and saying like Landon is the GOAT based off of he carried Carly up a mountain. I understand an argument, but especially realizing that fact and having rewatched everything in such quick succession right now, really good. It's really good.
So more to come with Landon. I want to have more of a discussion with him when it comes to the all-time Mount Rushmore, just to see where we're feeling with him on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But just to like talk about him as a competitor from the perspective that we're doing right now. I recently took some numbers. I like to crunch my numbers. I put some numbers together just from all of the different challengers through 19 seasons and their wins, their daily wins, their elimination wins, blah, 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 final wins. And I made a little bit of a formula that's too nerdy to explain right now. But through 19 seasons, I do have Landon mathematically as the top competitor that the show has seen so far.
Who's number 2?
Evan.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. 3
is Derek Kaczynski. And going down the list, followed by Kenny, then Darrell.
Interesting. I would definitely have Darrell over Kenny physically, personally. But in terms of stats, I'm not super surprised. I'm wondering what the exact weighting and everything is, because Kenny does seem to like get through a lot of seasons and then win the final when he doesn't have to go into a lot of eliminations or do too much else in the way of that. But that's interesting.
It's actually not that complicated to explain as I'm looking at it. So it's daily wins plus elimination wins plus final wins times 3. I wanted to weight a final win to be a lot more than the others. So that was just the equation that I went with. And that's what it produced. That Landon is the best so far.
All right. Doesn't seem to be like an exact science,
No,
but
it's math science.
but I am interested. I think that it ended up giving pretty solid results. It also, I think what's tough there is that doesn't factor in like number of appearances, number of losses, etc. So I think you might get someone like, let's say, Anissa ranking really high versus people who have a much higher success rate, just because she has won a lot of eliminations. So that's a tough factor. But in terms of, if you had asked me to say who are the best competitors of all time, yeah, those 4 out of those top 5 are probably coming up at least.
Yeah, Anissa's below Carly on this list, and that's really far down.
Okay.
And
Well,
maybe we're
then,
talking about later on in the series, but right now, she's got 6 elimination wins, no daily wins, and no final wins. So she's pretty far down this list.
Okay.
But we can deep dive into this at another point. I was trying to prepare it because I feel like after we're done with Cutthroat and we're talking more generally about the first 2 eras, I want to look back on this in some way, shape, or form. But that's not right now. So yeah, there's Landon. Again, I want to talk about him more towards the end of this podcast, but Landon now joining the 3-time winners club, which includes himself, Veronica, Kenny, Jamie Murray, and Derek Kaczynski. Jamie Murray being on there is so funny.
That's our all-time Mount Rushmore.
Exactly. And I guess if you're counting Spring Break Challenge, throw Susie in there as well, but
I'm not.
You're probably not. That's okay. And also, as Landon is about to go into retirement here, I just want to mention, we have plenty of other notable retirees that I group him in here. Your Julies, Mrs., Corals, Tanya. If you want to count Johanna, Susie from like recent retirees, maybe they're not on the same level, but still, Landon, put him on that list in some way, shape, or form, because never going to come back to the main show, All Stars, or anything. He's been on record many a time saying that he got a good job after the show, and Bunim Murray has never offered him worthwhile money to come back.
Okay. That's exactly it. I think that there's a lot of people who just like grow up essentially, and some people's growing up can be them doing the challenge as a full-time career. They figured it out, but that's not going to be the reality for a lot of people. The challenge also wasn't paying as much back then, so even though Kenny and Evan probably around this time, if not a little earlier, secured the like paid based on how many challenges you've done, it just wasn't going to surpass what Landon was ultimately going to do.
Correct. Yep. Kenny and Laurel, second place on the season after such a dominant season up until this point. I mean, Laurel, when she crosses the finish line, is like, oh, we're fine because we're not upset really at who we lost to. They deserve it too. Laurel, the two of them certainly thought they had the season in the bag from, halfway through at least, that they were dominating and nobody could get them out. So I don't know. You can't convince me that they weren't actually upset.
I'm sure. I think that handled it a lot better than certain other people that we'll talk about in the reunion, but I'm sure they were not thrilled.
No, probably not. I just am not getting the sense that she meant it when she said we're not actually upset. But that's okay. Laurel, obviously only at the beginning of her career here. She will be back for the next 2 seasons in a row before she takes 3 off. I mean, her career going forward is so sporadic. I mean, again, 3 in a row to start off, but then it's like she's gone for a while, then she's back, then she's gone for a while, then she's back. So you never know what to expect, Laurel.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that at least Laurel gives us breaks.
That's true. That's there. Say a positive thing about Laurel. She sometimes isn't on the show.
Yeah. I feel like she's because I haven't had to watch her on a season in a little while. Maybe I'm like, is Laurel so bad? Like something she's like posting against some people I don't like. She's posting like vaguely okay politics at points. I'm like, oh.
So actually, you all think that we're covering Cutthroat next. We're actually going to be covering season 40 of the challenge instead, so we can remind Scally.
Oh, don't worry,
Laurel.
I think Cutthroat will remind me fine.
Oh yeah, and Rivals right after that. So there we go. Kenny is got 1 season left to go in the challenge. We've been watching the clock or the calendar, knowing that this is right around the corner. It's not next season. He's not on Cutthroat. He'll be back on Rivals for his final season of the challenge.
Crazy.
And there it is.
Crazy. I feel like it's just, I don't know. I'm very interested to see what the challenge looks like from that point going on, what it looks like during that last season, etc. Like, how do things change?
Yeah, I mean, just to when we start to get into season 22, that's X's, right? To see like just how it feels tonally shifting, because I feel like having seen the show in its entirety before, I feel like they do just move along, and whoever's still on the show, they just transition into talking about them, and it's their stories going forward. So it doesn't actually feel like they're missing unless you're thinking about them. But I don't know, it's pretty big changes that they make
Yeah.
with the casting, obviously. Pete and Jillian, you'll never see either of them again. Jillian, I'm still surprised we saw her here, but hey, she made one last return. She gave it her best, walked away with 40K split with her and Pete.
And I almost thought like this might be this is something I had thought would be an interesting segment for certain other challengers, but I almost think that for at least people that have done a couple when they go away, does it make sense to us that this was their last challenge? And I think for Jillian, at least to me, it does. I think she was a pretty interesting character on her first 2 seasons, especially her second one. But I think that this kind of it almost felt like Pete was the veteran at times in terms of he getting to like speak during meetings, have his alliance with Kenny, get more airtime, etc. Jill kind of got lost.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add for Jill. I mean, she was fine. She chimes in at the reunion at one point to talk about how she likes Laurel and all of the rest of the fresh meat women don't, and she feels like that's because they're not intimidated by her, but the fresh meat are. So that's really all we get from her between now and closing the season.
Yeah,
she thinks Evelyn's cocky. There's that too.
Thinks Evelyn's cocky. She's like, Laurel is amazing. All of the vet girls like Laurel. That's about all you get.
That's it.
I mean, granted, we also I think watched a cut version of the reunion, so maybe get a lot.
I thought so too. I don't know.
We definitely did.
And I tried looking for. I guess you might have as well, but the reunion version that we had was like 34 minutes when they're usually like 42, and it looked like we were jumping back into a segment. I don't know what that's about, but
we were.
Couldn't find anything else. That's okay. But and then as far as Pete is concerned, yeah, he's never going to return, but he also does get some highlight at the reunion. Basically, him and Jen are together. I don't know how long this lasted. I don't know if you have any insight there, but as of the reunion, they are together.
That was kind of a blindside. I had forgotten that. I did learn it just before I watched the reunion in some of my research, which we'll get to. But for them all season being like, oh yeah, we don't like each other. We don't even speak. We just make out. And then cut to like Jen's visiting Pete at college. I was like, ugh, ew.
They've been Skyping, visiting each other. Their Facebook official, just reminding us that this is 2010, which is fantastic. Shout out to Skype, but yeah, never gonna hear from Pete again. That's probably okay. Same thing goes for Noor, who is also never going to return. I feel like there's probably more of people that are looking for a Noor return just because he showed potential, I feel like, athletically. And I don't know. Maybe that's the only thing. His confessionals were pretty dry. I think he's
I think he's a good personality. I actually did go and find episodes of the Mike Lewis podcast, which I've checked out once or twice. I'm not like overly familiar with, but does some really solid interviews with people through challenge history. And I checked out the episodes with both with Olive, Noir, Pete, and Carly, getting a little more insight into why they maybe never came back.
Is there like a through line there, or they all have different stories?
All slightly different stories. I think that let's say for Noor, he had like goals of working in like movies and television, whether it be production in front of, and it was just kind of known like, you do too many reality shows, this is not going to go well for you. So he kind of was like, all right, well, I'm not super motivated. And then they had like kind of flirted with the idea at one point, but he ultimately they were like, you're the funny guy, but we don't really have a role for that right now. Like, we're doing like exes and rivals and this and that, and like, we don't have a spot for you. So he just got kind of lost because of the themes, even though they did call him a couple times. as far as
they do like X's, rivals, and then battle of the seasons, which like fresh meat does get a spot there, but not in like the way that not enough of a spot for all of these people to come back. So if they didn't land on Cutthroat, there's just like no room for a lot of them to actually find a spot back. I mean, I guess they could have been X's or rivals, but
one of them did almost land on Cutthroat, in fact. So what happened was apparently one person was going to be on Cutthroat, had their jersey made, was there. I don't know if they were there ready to go, but was last minute told, thank you, but no thank you, never mind. And Carly was supposed to be on Battle of the Seasons.
As a part of the fresh meat team?
As a part of the fresh meat team. I might have said Cutthroat. I meant Battle of the Season. She was supposed to be there, but they last minute changed her out with Cara Maria. I don't know if Cara was not available previously, but supposedly you can even tell at points that Cara's name is like ironed on over another early in the season. I don't know if that's true, but Carly was like, yeah, I would have totally done more seasons. They had like called her for Cutthroat. Nothing happened there. They passed. She was going to be on Battle of the Seasons, and then they were like, never mind, and then they just stopped calling her.
That's annoying. I mean, again, I can't get like too on production for that, because again, it's not like her confessionals or her on-screen persona was like popping off the page. A lot of these fresh meat weren't exactly that, and the ones that were all essentially do get the calls back. So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, and then I think Carly was actually an alternate on season 40? ?
That sounds weirdly familiar, but also I say weirdly, I guess, because I had not remembered that even in like deep down in my brain until you just mentioned it, that was like a rumor that she was a part of. But look, Aviv got called, so you know they were looking all the way back for anybody available.
That was supposed to be that was Melinda's spot, that she would have been there. It also, in theory, had Janae not lost her passport, she would have been on Era 2. So that would have happened. But instead, and then Jasmine actually could have been on season 40, so that would have been great. But no, once they were like, all right, I guess we're going to do Aviv, supposedly I think Carly was in the mix there as well. This podcast predates that time, so that's not included at all. But Carly actually also originally tried out for Bad Girls Club, which is how we got here.
Okay.
Yep. So that was super interesting.
Okay. And then Pete also.
Pete was basically, they really wanted him. He was going to be on Cutthroat, even to the point where Jen was not. And he said, I'm only doing it if you like, I will only want to do the show with my girlfriend. Like, you got to bring Jen on. So they put Jen on the cast. And then he had a job lined up post college. He had always wanted to go into like finance, banking, etc. And the job had told him, like, put his job on pause like after graduation, and his school put like him on pause for the semester. But then when he was like, hey, I think I'm gonna do it again, they were like, all right, we told you you can go have a once in a lifetime experience, and it was once in a lifetime. Like, stop going and being like an MTV boy. That's not going to happen, or your job might face insecurity. And he was like, all right, well, I want to do my job, so no thank you anymore, MTV.
And you know what? It's okay. We're fine. Not the biggest loss in my mind. He was fine. He was a good character. He got in this relationship, and that was like the end of the story there. So I don't feel like I'm missing anything from not having Pete on future shows. It is crazy to hear that it was like he was on more than Jen was, who was like becoming one of the mainstays as far as I'm concerned at this point. Jen will be back next season and also the following season. Those are her final 2 seasons of the show before she's done. So we're getting there.
Sorry.
And Jen and Nora, of course, by the way, if we didn't already say this, but we did, walk away with no money from this final, finishing in 4th place. So there's that. But did you have any insight onto the first whatever minutes of the reunion before we get into the part we did see?
Well, I don't know why we lost it. I didn't get anything recovered. I just noticed, like, okay, it feels like we're jumping in the middle of a segment here. Yeah. Usually we're like, all right, and here's Danny and Jill. And so that did not happen. And I was like, I am left curious here. And it just felt pretty sure in my mind. I don't think I have it like officially confirmed, but yeah, we definitely missed a couple segments at the beginning. We didn't even congratulate Landon and Carly on their win, so we definitely lost a couple minutes, unfortunately. But I think we got honestly a lot of the stuff I was more interested in.
I agree. I mean, I think that every reunion usually starts with let's talk about the final. And like that's one of the segments I cut out right now. Like I'm good with that. I don't need to hear about, oh yeah, like it was hard. We just watched the final. But so the part that we do see is, of course, Maria Menounos is here with her laugh in tow, and Kenny, Wes, Carly,
can't bring it up.
Jen, Mandy, Landon, Laurel, Nora, Jill, Pete. So who was missing here? For me, the biggest name, I wouldn't call this person the biggest name, but just someone who made it deep into the season. Evelyn's partner, Luke, was not there.
Yeah, I don't think that Luke is like the tiniest name of all time. There's definitely lesser, but I'm trying to think if anyone else, obviously,
season, which is crazy. Like, no reunion invite, but come on, Cutthroat.
Yeah, I think it's kind of just Luke because then we get to like the CJ and Sydney and lower that really none of them are there except for Danny.
Yep. And Danny's there without his partner, Sandy. No Paula, no Sarah. Yes. Paula, I would expect to get like the Katie nod of like, okay, you didn't go very far into the season, but you're still, one of the biggest
MTV darling.
Yeah. But she wasn't there. And so that's all right.
What talked about?
I don't know. She would have made a comment about Pete being cute or something. I don't know. Wasn't she flirting with him?
She was flirting with Jeff. Oh. I'm sure, though, she would have also flirted with Pete, to be fair.
I think so. But we do get into what we were hoping to definitely see talked about. Wes versus Kenny. Maria asks, is this real animosity between the two of you? And definitely curious to hear your take, because I feel like the vibe between the two of them, we get some backstage footage and it's just like very jokey. And it's like, oh, no, there's not actual real animosity between them two. But then Kenny starts talking about how he'll beat Wes's ass on the stage right now. He'll let Wes get the first 5 punches. He has no use for Wes, and again says he would love to beat the piss out of him. He's a coward piece of shit, and I have no respect for him.
I think it's that Kenny is first and foremost a TV character. He admits in here that he wants to be famous. When Wes tries to insult him by saying that he openly admits he wants to be famous, he once again openly admits he wants to be famous. So he has no problem with that. He said, if I wanted to play sports, I would play in my town rec league. I don't think that that's why anyone's here. They want to be on TV. And I think for the most part, he's correct. I think that the rivalry is mostly real. I think that they have main issues that are just going to conflict, but I don't think they would like murder each other if the cameras weren't here or if there were no consequences. I just think that they're probably not going to be besties outside of it, but could they appear at the same, spring break appearance and be fine? Yeah, they're probably still going to hang out. They're not going to make 2 separate groups.
I mean, that's what Wes would have you believe, Kenny would have you believe that he wants to actually go out of here and beat Wes to the ground or something like that. But that's also just, male ego, I guess. I don't know. That Kenny certainly has his, problems containing his own. The segment about him wanting to be famous is super cringy, but he's like, yeah, I'm the only one that'll admit it on this stage. Nobody else wants to admit it. It's like, okay, look at you. You're so brave. Thank you for sharing.
I honestly think it's fine. I truly do think this is a subtext to every single person's appearance on the challenge, especially the ones that do it multiple times. So it doesn't bother me at all.
Did you notice Wes spending a ton of this reunion with like his legs up on the bench, holding onto his legs? Like he was not sitting like a normal person.
No.
So in many of the segments, he's just like, because he's on the end of the bench, which I thought was an interesting spot for him, who's going to get so much reunion attention. So he just has his whole body turned and they're sitting again on a bench. He has his both feet up on the bench, holding his arms around his knees. Like he's just lounging out. Good for him. We get a segment with Danny and Wes. Of course, Danny and his big betrayal by one of his good friends. He thinks that what Wes did was complete BS. Evelyn jumps in to defend Wes, as does Wes to defend himself, talking about how Wes did not mastermind that, but everybody thought that Sandy was the worst girl in the group, so they had to go in regardless. Wes says, I protect Danny to the ends of the earth in real life, but in the game, the alliance was coming for you, and there's nothing I could do. I tried to tell you. I tried to warn you.
Yeah. I think that this was tough because, like, wait, Wes didn't mastermind this, but he definitely was a part of all of it at the very least. Like, he shares blame. And I think that the problem is Wes wasn't actively campaigning against this for Danny. I think that this was not something that was probably going to break their friendship permanently. But as Danny says, like, it sucks. Like, that's brutal. And Danny is forced to, like, praise Kenny here.
Yeah. The I guess main idea of all of this still is for me that Wes showed this season that he will not care who you like. Danny is someone that we have seen over the course of however many years they've been on TV together are super close. And if he's willing to let this happen and not stick his neck all the way out in a game perspective as well to save him, then like, yeah, you could try to trust Wes if he makes a deal. But if he's not going to protect Danny, why do you think he's going to protect you? So I don't know. I just feel like that's something that I'm going to keep an eye on in future seasons and see if people have trust issues with Wes, because I feel like that might happen. But I don't know. Speaking of the people that were in between the Wes and Kenny alliance,
did we talk about the Danny and Sandy shenanigans? Speaking of housekeeping,
talk more.
Do you know about? I don't remember if this was sent to us. Thank you, John, who's been sending us some great context on Twitter. I don't remember. I tried to look through replies and I don't see it there, so I don't know if I just found this on its side.
So I actually no, I have this pulled from when I posted on Reddit about us covering the season.
That's what it was.
Oh, well then there you go. Yeah, there's from Wild Yogurt 9699 on Reddit posted a whole thing about the Danny and Sandy elimination and some drama there that we did not talk about because I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I did not know this either. Where apparently they were told explicitly before their elimination that they were not allowed to carry each other's bags. So that's why Danny never takes Sandy's bag at any point, and whereas Pete is allowed to take Jillian's, and so that's shenanigans. That Sandy had finished the puzzles very, very quickly, but production at least once, if not more times, was telling her like, no, it's not right. Stay here, don't keep going. And then finally, she would have to prove them walking through every single step of exactly how it was correct. So that's super frustrating, and that also apparently Sandy and Danny's bags were not the proper weights, that Sandy's bag was almost 75 pounds instead of the supposed 40. Danny made them weigh the bags beforehand or after the final, saying like, this is ridiculous. Once they were shown to be the improper weights, that production still was like, oh well, and sent them home, even though they finished like 10 seconds after the other team. So if all of this is to be believed, which, you know, there's a lot of rumors in reality TV, then you would think Danny and Sandy should have pretty handily won this elimination.
Yeah, I mean, we do unfortunately hear stories like this, I would say quite often, of like production messed this up or that, but like there are 3 different egregious examples of like supposed fuck ups from production here, and the fact that I guess all of them just got swept under the rug. I mean, it does make me like want to hear from, we're never going to, from a producer of like, what's your version of events from this story? Because we're only ever going to hear from the challengers themselves. Yeah. But it's like, if all of these are correct in that they were held up 3 different times for mistakes that were being made, did production blatantly just want Danny and Sandy to go home for the sake of the plot? Like, were they just off their game this day? Like, it doesn't make much sense to me, but it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, definitely very crazy. So that was something, you know, I feel like I have, again, like a lot of housekeeping things to jump in on.
We'll take those.
I even got one. I got one about a past season. I don't know when the best time to bring that one up.
Right now.
We already mentioned it a little bit, but in terms of you know, the duel 2, where the Landon and Brad elimination we talked about, there's also some alleged shenanigans going on with that final that I forgot to bring up at the time. I had known this and I forgot about this, that allegedly the men all agreed to throw the final to Evan. Do you ever heard about this?
I thought we brought this up on the podcast, but
did
maybe
we? I forget.
Dreaming. I'm not sure. I mean, it sounds familiar, or maybe it just came up in a Twitter thread or something at some point that that they agreed to throw to Evan because Evan wouldn't get taxed on the winnings and then he would split it with all of them.
Yeah, so they would be able to actually, Evan would make almost as much money probably by doing this as he like would have if he had been taxed as an American, and the rest of them would then also get money where they would not have otherwise, and so they also are going to get their like second and third prize monies. So yeah, an alleged prize splitting there. Maybe we did talk about it, but you know my brain.
Well, era two of the challenge has certainly been coming with, the players are trying to get into the game a little bit more, and maybe they're trying to play production a little bit more along the way. And production's playing them back apparently when it comes to Danny and Sandy. But yeah, if you have any more of those, I'll take them anytime. I like to hear the behind the scenes tea, and that goes for anybody on a Reddit, social media platforms. Let us know what we're missing. But back into the reunion, we have Jen and Ryan talked about if they have any regrets of the way that they played the game, bouncing back and forth between the alliances, and they don't. Evelyn does make a comment saying that Ryan hurt her feelings, talking about how an angel grows its wings every time Evelyn loses an elimination. And Ryan's like, yeah, I stand by it. She has to defend herself, though, here, saying that she's confident, not cocky. And Ryan disagrees, says that whenever she's on top, she's got a really big head and she needs to work on shrinking that back down to size, which it feels like some other people agree with.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, Evelyn saying like that she only had a slight freak out in the whole Luke thing, and that it's really easy to blame the puzzle, but it wasn't the puzzle's fault. It was actually that Luke was just constantly giving up, and he actually even might have wanted to go home at that point, and so he was throwing, and so she would have won with any other guy there. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I hear the same thing. It's kind of happening again right now.
She's like, I didn't want a hug from him because I knew he wanted to go home. So let me not hug who I want to hug. It's like, okay, Evelyn, you do you. But it certainly doesn't help everybody's opinions of her. But look, nobody has to care what other people think of them. But then again, if you're playing these social games where season after season, you need to have these relationships, sometimes it does matter. So, for Evelyn, only one more season to go. So, we'll see if that affects her in her final run on the challenge. But we have a highlight of the Jen versus Mandy fight, which there's some additional context given at the reunion. And then I have another comment from somebody on Reddit to just, I don't know, get into it more. But the headline here is that with the Jen and Mandy fight, remember we talked about Jen pushes Mandy. Apparently Mandy was given the choice by production to let Jen stay or not. Do you want to send her home? Jen says that Mandy only let her stay because if she found out that Mandy was sending her home, she would have gone and whooped Mandy's ass even more.
So Mandy gives the reason of that she liked Noor, so she was going to let him stay, and so she didn't want to have him face negative consequences. I think some people say it's also that's the reason why Wes told Mandy about the Jen alliance in order to convince her to let Jen stay. Like, she's on our side, you have to keep her. So that's definitely a theory as well. But yeah, all of this stuff you don't see on the show. I love the extra information.
That's what I was. I actually had that pulled from 98 staff on Reddit saying that, if I recall correctly, Wes convinced Mandy to not send Jen home because of the secret alliance. And funny enough, because they ended up turning on them in the end anyway. So maybe it would have been better for Wes and Mandy to not have Jen and Noor around. But that's that. We also talk when it comes to Mandy about Wes and his collapse in the exile. He of course just stops in the middle of it when they're facing off against Evelyn and Luke. And he admits loud and proud that he gave up. He said, I just quit.
Yeah. And it's like, no, Mandy, like, they were so far ahead of us that we couldn't have won. And she's like, Wes, you told me that you would never give up. And I'm so mad. And she's screaming. And it's just that Wes said he was never going to give up, that they were only like a minute behind. They easily could have come back. And even though they had a 15-minute head start on that first puzzle, Wes mentally checked out at that point, but Mandy says basically that she was doing so well, they could have still come back from it, and they came so close to coming back from it. And if Wes had not given up, she feels like they could have come back from it. And like, even if they couldn't have, she's still pissed that he gave up. So yeah, that kind of sucks.
It's just a crazy mentality from Wes. Like, what do you mean that they were in the lead, so you just gave up? Like, this is like, if Evelyn tripped and fell and then, couldn't run to the finish line. Yeah. That would suck for her or for their team, but like, you would then pass them and you would still win. Like, you can't stop until the blowhorn blows. Yeah. But unless he physically just couldn't keep going, which is a different story, but that's not the one that he's claiming here.
I feel like it was that personally, because we see, if this was a one-off and we never saw Wes struggle in something like this, then I would say, okay, I believe him. but I have to question it given context.
given future challenges.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we'll come back to that someday. But that's that for now. A segment on Laurel and how everybody viewed her in the house. Carly talking about how Laurel is always cocky. Teresa talking about how everyone was just fed up with Laurel. Her laugh was so obnoxious and people just wanted her to shut up. Carly says that Laurel is the only one on the cast that she did not exchange phone numbers with.
and that is very much, okay, yeah, we just didn't click. And Landon even is like, not everyone has to be friends. And I think that is kind of just always one of my main opinions in life is like, it's fine if people don't like each other. Just don't hang out. Who cares? It's fine. And guess what? That is something especially that in these interviews that I checked out is like, oh, who'd you keep in touch with? Like kind of this person for a year, maybe, but like no one. Like no one. They did this one show one time. They were coworkers for 2 months. No, they don't talk anymore. Maybe there was some random ones. Like some people like, oh, I still talk to Wes so I think Pete and Wes were friends. And actually Wes tried to get Pete on another challenge like recently. But otherwise, no, they don't talk.
Plenty of people did like Laurel, making out with her along the way of the season. Evelyn, Ryan, Pete, Sarah.
The
list goes on.
That was it. It was really interesting where they're saying like, if you were on the stage and you made out with Laurel, raise your hand. She's like, it's not that bad. I made out with 3 people. Does Ryan count? Excuse me. And good for Norse that jumps in here is like, just because he's gay he doesn't count. Like, what do you mean? Because she's counting like men, women, like everyone else. It's not as if it's like, oh well, I only kissed 3 straight men on the show. No, she's counting every other kiss on the season except for Ryan.
And to bounce that off into Ryan, does this count? What about for Kenny? Ryan and Kenny apparently spent a night cuddling. Both of them apparently very drunk. Ryan crawled into Kenny's bed as kind of a joke, he says. Yeah, sure. We're crawling into Mr. Beautiful's bed as a joke. And apparently just fell asleep. They woke up the next morning and Kenny suddenly realized that he thought this must have been a woman in his bed, and it was Ryan.
Yeah. I did like Ryan's also come back at Laurel of like, I'm still a person or whatever it was. But
Happy Pride.
Yeah. Well, and Laurel has come out since. Or I don't know. No,
I mean, it doesn't change what she's saying here.
No, I agree. I wondered if it was like a truth or dare kiss that she wasn't counting. I don't remember the context.
Who knows?
And regardless, dumb thinking. But I believe the Ryan climbing into Kenny's bed was a joke because I feel like it's a lot more sinister to put anything else on them. But I think that was a joke. And
I mean, like, what's a joke? Like yeah, did he actually crawl into the bed thinking he was like going to spend the night spooning and cuddling? Maybe not, but like then he crawls into the bed and then he's not getting kicked out. He's just gonna fall asleep there.
I think it was and this is obviously like giving grace, but I assumed it was a like Kenny, like trying to like wake him up and or whatever, and then he just passed out. But I don't know. Otherwise, it's more sinister.
Yeah,
but I don't think either of them are putting that vibe on it.
No. Speaking of hookups, of course, we have to check in with Teresa about the Kenny and Wes of it all. She says that she thought Kenny was hot until day 2. She's like, obviously, come on, like, look at him. No one's denying that Kenny's hot. But the second he opened his mouth, she realized this wasn't for her.
Yeah. Not my type of guy. Immediately, personality was a deal breaker.
I want to stand so bad, but I can't because it's Teresa and she's also bad IRL. But
forgot about that.
Yeah, some worthwhile comments here that are making me laugh and giggle along the way. Laugh and giggle, 2 different things, obviously. But she says to Maria that it had nothing to do with Wes and Kenny being the 2 most powerful guys in the house, because that's what Maria is asking her. And then Wes is asked about the Kellyanne of it all. He insists that they were broken up, but he shouldn't have done this on TV again. Basically, you hook up with someone on TV once, and you should never do it again because it would then be rude to the person that you first hooked up with on TV.
But like, why is hooking up with the first person on TV not rude to your other exes then?
Because it's on TV.
But I don't get the logic.
No, none of it makes sense. He's like, you get it, Maria, right? It's like this and like whatever. And she's like, okay, yeah.
I understand it more from this is one big friend group and we're going to have to see each other at a lot of events. And so that is uncomfortable and awkward and whatever. Why was the Kellyanne hookup not offensive to Johanna then? Just because she hooked up with Kenny? Or like, what was the deal? So I don't buy the logic personally.
As far as Wes is concerned, Wes apparently, according to sources, Wes has the prettiest penis that many have seen.
Yeah. And I think pretty is a much better compliment than cute when it comes to penises.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think cute is a compliment when it comes to a penis. I don't think. That sounds almost bad.
Tell that to Trinity and Bryce on Love Island.
I don't remember her using those words. But I feel like if people were using a word to describe like West Wilson when that was going around, it's like, oh, that's cute. Or maybe they weren't even giving it that.
Okay. The West drive-by here.
Well, west to west. I thought there was a connection here. But I don't know. If we're gonna be talking about Wes and his pretty penis so much, I feel like there should be some proof. But in the meantime,
a lot of them are asking for it.
Yeah. I thought Ryan was like saying that he had seen it, but it sounded like he just had heard that.
Had heard about it, which I mean is presumably coming from Johanna or Kellyanne.
Probably. So
presumably. I mean, and I don't think he was on a season with Kellyanne since everything.
Probably, yeah. They keep in touch. I don't know. Wes, he does have a funny line here when Maria's asking him about this. He goes, "Is this on the teleprompter?" Like
that was a really funny line. Because at one point she like reads some other line. She's like, "What am I saying?" So it's very funny that this is the like script of MTV.
Yeah, before the Evelyn and Luke segment, she read, which veteran was getting in heat for beating their meat, and it was about Evelyn being rude to Luke. And she literally, when the commercial when we go to commercial break, she's like, what am I reading? Like, what is this?
Yeah, so funny.
So Wes has a moment here where they're just all talking about his penis so much that he walks off stage as if he's like so offended by this. Meanwhile, you're on stage in front of TV, like everyone's complimenting you on that. I don't think you're actually that miserable, Wes, but hey, take your moment.
I think that's why he was sitting with his legs up the whole time.
Maybe.
He was shielding.
Speaking of penises or things in the similar form, Ryan, some clips of him deep throating a banana. Apparently he also deep throated a carrot that got snapped into his throat, and he thought he was going to die.
Yeah. What a way to go.
What a way to go. Lots of nudity around the house. The entire like unseen footage clip was just everybody walking around naked. Luke especially always naked. Everyone's making out, and that's just your typical unseen footage clip.
There we go.
Real. We see Jen making out with Darrell. She's trying to deny that was her.
Yeah. I don't know. Does she need to deny it?
I don't know. I mean, I guess because Pete's sitting right next to her, she's like, "Oh no, not me, not me." Anything else on your radar from the reunion, the final at all?
No. I mean, it's always nice in these challenge seasons to be getting previews of the next Real World season. It makes me so excited and want to binge them very badly. But Real World New Orleans coming up soon means we're getting some debuts of some big characters.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly recognized, of course, Jemmy and Knight and Preston. Was there any? I don't know if there's anybody else in there that maybe did like a season or two. Say again.
Mackenzie.
You
have no idea who she is.
One season?
Yeah.
Okay. It's literally Battle of the Seasons. That's it. That sounds correct.
That's it.
Excited to refresh myself on her, I guess, when we get there. But yeah, Real World New Orleans debuting very soon. That's all I have as well. Are we ready to move along into our segments?
Ready to move into the segments.
Okay. Well, let me see here. Yes. So let's start with the season rankings. We'll get back to confessionals as we get to the Mount Rushmores, but season rankings. Actually, do you have any opinion on should we keep doing intro rankings like as we go? Should we catch up with them someday? I think for me, I just like don't remember all of them unless I'm like rewatching them like right before here. But if you have takes, then
what do you prefer? I'll do whatever you prefer.
I just like my memory is not good enough to be like,
let's make it a segment in the future on a
okay. So we'll catch up at a certain point and just continue adding them in Maybe it'll
every
just continue
6.
to be a Patreon exclusive of some sort.
Yeah.
But we'll see. All right. So we'll get the Fresh Meat 2 intro into the rankings at some point. But at least as far as the season is concerned, I have a season that I would say it's better than this one. But beyond that, I don't know where it goes. Are you looking at the top half, the bottom half, the middle?
I think for me, I'm looking slightly middle, but upper middle.
So that's right around the spot that I am at. So what I wrote down was I think it's better than the Duel 2, but beyond that, I'm open to whatever you think.
Interesting. I'm refamiliarizing myself with the Duel 2. I kind of think that is either above or below. That is exactly where I would put it also. So
Okay.
not
I
a
mean,
ton of discussion there.
as far as Fresh Meat versus Fresh Meat 1 versus Fresh Meat 2, I guess that would have us both agreeing that Fresh Meat 1 is better.
I think so. I think that Fresh Meat 1 is more iconic. This has really one storyline, whereas with Fresh Meat, kind of has some more interesting developments, I think. Definitely, yeah, at least so many more people get storylines there, whereas on Fresh Meat 2, it really is not the most well spread out.
I think I would go Fresh Meat 2, and then the Duel 2. Just like
I agree.
In general, a lot of the Duel 2 storylines I think are perfectly worthwhile. Obviously, it's pretty high up for us. It was number 7. It's now about to be number 8 of the however many 20 seasons that we've ranked, including Spring Break Challenge. But just I think that the intensity of the gameplay and the back and forth was so enthralling with Wes and Evelyn versus Kenny and all of the pawns on each of their sides that to me that was just more interesting than most of what the Duel had to offer.
For me, Fresh Meat 2 has an okay beginning, a phenomenal middle, and an okay ending.
Yeah, the ending really doesn't really land in the most satisfying of ways. It's satisfying that I'm happy that Landon gets a win over Kenny and Laurel, but
I just think that the middle of the season is like some of the best stretch of episodes ever. In seeing the house flip, seeing the Wes and Danny betrayal, seeing CJ and Landon get thrown under the bus, to Landon getting power and turning on Wes, and Evelyn also going home. I think that stretch of like 5 episodes is really, really good. And I think the rest of the season does not match its quality.
This is the highest we've placed a season in a little bit. Just to look back at the top of the season ranking so far, we have from number 1 through Fresh Meat 2, we have the Inferno 2, the Duel, Battle of the Sexes, the Gauntlet 2, Fresh Meat, and then Fresh Meat 2. So all of the season 17, season 18, and obviously season 16 are all below this.
I mean, really, though, it only outpaces 17 by 1 season. It outpaces 18 by like 3. And that is me weighing it down. So I would say these seasons are averaging around the same placement.
Yeah, just about. But hey, stats are stats, and it's above
there them. You go.
So there's my stat. Confessional wise, closing out the season here, we did have a change in the leader, and that is our winner, Landon, overtakes the lead from Kenny to walk away from the season. 1 confessional short of 100. A little crazy. Couldn't give him one more.
Okay.
But he's got 99 to Kenny's 95. Then you have the eliminated Evelyn at 75. Wes also eliminated at 73. Then a bit of a jump to Ryan at 63. Jillian at 56. As far as the bottom of the leaderboard is concerned of the finalists, not too terribly far down to get to Teresa and Noor at 46, 45. Jen at 51. So, I mean, everybody that's not like, I guess, those main characters along the way, like they're still in it enough.
Yeah.
We've had more egregious, numbers by the end of the season. So, but that does bring us to Mount Rushmore for this season, Fresh Meat 2. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Did you, what's your level of like, have already thought about what names you're thinking about?
I have people in contention for this. I have people not in contention. I have, in my mind, 4 people in contention for the top 4 spots.
I have 4 people in contention for the top 4 spots.
Yeah, I don't think it's close.
I'll be very curious if there's any disagreements here, but it might not be. Do we just
who's your number
names?
1? I think the order is going to be more interesting here.
That's fair. Because honestly, this is giving it away a little bit, but like my top three feel interchangeable, let alone the top two, I guess you could say. If I was putting it, number one with the bullet, I guess I'd have to go Kenny.
Interesting.
But I hear the argument for Wes.
I would go Wes personally.
Yeah, I mean, I could go either way there.
All right. Well, then I'll go Wes. I feel like for Wes, this is just such a big season. And I thought last season was very big as well, even though neither go his way. He is the opposition to the MTV favorites. While still being a big name, one of MTV's go-to guys, he is the singular opposition. Even when Evelyn is here on his team, he is given so much of the credit, so much of the confessionals, so much of the everything that I think Wes, to me, comes off as number one pretty easily. I almost have the next two spots in more of a closer range.
Yeah, and again, totally fair, totally valid. I feel like it's just the Kenny versus Wes show, and it's crazy that Evelyn is, still such a part of this. But even at the reunion, it's like Maria's like, all right, so Wes versus Kenny. Granted, it's because of this rivalry between the two of them that has been now carried on for a season or two along the way, and it's just kind of been building up. And it's like, well, all of Kenny and his friends hate Evelyn, so it's not new that Kenny and Evelyn are on opposite sides. Wes and Evelyn are this new duo that joined at the beginning of the Ruins, and now they're obviously working together. But Wes has truly just emerged as if not already before this season, but definitely by this season, as just like you are centering the show around him. You are watching his every move. He is taking the game in the palm of his hands, playing it harder than anybody out there could dream of, cutting his own friends in order to get himself further in the game, and doing that with a smile on his face, saying, yeah, that's what I have to do to get deeper into this game. I'm a challengeaholic. What do you expect from me?
And saying, if I could do it all again, I would do it the same way. I would cut Danny exactly how I cut him. Crazy. Crazy.
So yeah, I think that one makes plenty of sense. Let's get into more Wes discussion maybe in a couple of minutes. But is your second spot, I guess, put between Kenny and Evelyn?
Yeah, and I'm willing to go Kenny here for sure. I think that Kenny versus Wes, like you said, is such a easy way to describe this season. It is able to be boiled down to just these two names in a very simple way, in that I don't think that Evelyn, unfortunately, gets the credit for. I do think that Evelyn has basically as much screen time, and everything else that Kenny gets, for the most part, in my head. And maybe that does not play out in a confessional count, but I think that when you're talking about the season, it's Wes versus Kenny.
Yeah, it's tough for Evelyn, and I guess, I don't know, if you want to just toss her name up on the board, we'll talk about it all here together. It's tough for Evelyn because she makes her mission here along the way to say, whatever it takes to get Kenny to not win the season. Hey, he doesn't win the season, but that's not anything that we can actually credit her for. That's just like, that was her goal at the end of the day. And of course, she also wanted to win, and she's going to take a lot of her frustrations out on Luke when they don't win. So I don't know if maybe they felt like they couldn't hype it up as like the Evelyn versus Kenny storyline, because ultimately Kenny is so much more focused on Wes. Whatever the case actually is, Evelyn is there just alongside the two of them in every part of this story, especially alongside Wes in creating this alliance and in playing the game as hard as both of them do. They both turn on CJ and Landon in efforts to save themselves. Evelyn's not even supposed to be on the season. She's an alternate, which is still crazy. But once she shows up, she's ready to play the game hard and continuing to prove, especially why she's on our all-time Mount Rushmore, why she is just also one of the central figures of the show at this point. So
agreed.
And I guess to go backwards to Kenny, it's pretty self-explanatory. He's, even while Wes and Evelyn are dominating the narrative of like, how do we take down Kenny? That's the thing. How do we take down Kenny, who is part of this dominant team all season long? Him and Laurel are dominating the game, winning every challenge. And it's like, well, how do we take him down? And they let him get to the final. Well, they don't. But he doesn't win, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Kenny is the voice for that entire side of the house for a long time. And granted, that side of the house is mostly just him and Jillian's teams. But we really get him also narrating for like Ryan and Jen a good amount, for a lot of people
right
over there.
So Evelyn on the board as well, and then the final spot. You think
Who do
we
you
have
got?
the same name?
I think so.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Laurel. No,
Landon.
Teresa. No, Landon. Yeah, I mean, it's not even. I was had this on my board before even looking at him having passed Kenny in the confessional chart. It's like what, a quarter of the way through the season? Actually, no, the beginning of the season when we start to see him actually having a storyline in the game. And the storyline is, I don't really want to play the game, but he does have to, and he ends up dominating a lot more than you would expect alongside Carly, in dominating, maybe too strong of a word there, but doing well enough, all the way to the point of getting the win, pushing her up the mountain himself, and just putting on a hell of a show of a performance.
I think for me, it is even less like his storyline and more just when I think about this season, who do I think about? And as much as it is the Wes and Kenny show, it's also me thinking like, holy shit, Landon's performance this season is crazy. And I just think that it is far and away deserving of a top 4 spot here. I think he is involved enough in the storyline as well, but I think just performance wise, it would almost be enough.
And look at him getting a spot after we kicked him back off of his duel 2 spot because you approved.
No, I'm teasing.
Getting Rachel back into the duel 2 Mount Rushmore. So Landon lost his spot there, which means that Landon for the first time is on a season's Mount Rushmore. But better late than never for Landon. The only other names that I had in consideration as far as like not a solid no were Laurel and Teresa. Teresa was never going to be up there because they don't give her the time, even though she's involved in story with Wes and Kenny. And then Laurel is just part of this dominant pair, but not actually, a big character. So
totally agree. I think when I think of this season, they both come to mind as well. Very much over almost everyone else. It's just it's not their story. It's always going to be them in connection to other people. It's Laurel because she and Kenny dominated, and Teresa because she was between Kenny and Wes, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you were expanding this out to 5 in some way, shape, or form, like this isn't even one of the seasons where it's like, we had to make tough decisions to get down to 4, but like maybe you're looking at like a Ryan and Jen of some sort, but like they're still so far off from the rest.
Where would you go at 5? Honestly, just out of curiosity.
I mean, like I mentioned, Laurel and Teresa, but honestly, just like thinking through it again, having watched the reunion, which is, I made my list before even watching the reunion, Jen might be in consideration.
There's a world, but I honestly think I might go Teresa.
And I could see that as well. I mean, but
I just think when I think of the season, I think of her more than other people.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Jen and Mandy fight is pretty big, and then Jen being like the middle person between the two alliances, even though she's not like a major part of the storyline. Luckily, we don't have to go that far out because this 4 is pretty definitive, obviously, to both of us. But there you have it.
There we go.
All right, shall we get into all-time Mount Rushmores?
Now, which Mount Rushmore do you want to talk about first?
I think we start with the women.
I agree.
I think there's less names to discuss as possibilities here for the women. In particular, I only have one name to consider.
Okay. And that name is?
Do you have multiple names or?
I have no names.
To consider at all?
No.
Well, the name just to consider for me is Paula. Is it Paula's time yet?
The problem is, I feel like it was Paula's time on Spring Break the Challenge, but I was never going to do that. You know what I mean? In terms of Paula has become an MTV darling, and they go to her all the time. She is like their person. I just don't think this season is like doing really any work for her, where it feels too weird to put her on here.
Yeah, it's like interesting. I mean, I'm looking. So this is her 6th challenge. She went home early on her first ever season. She went home early on this one. She made 3 finals from season 14, 15, and 16. Of course, 16 being the island, and that's like her most notable season. Season 17, she comes back and she's got big story there of like her and Evan and their friendship, but then she ends up going out, the her and Dunbar thing. So she's just been like consistently still so involved. She still has 4 more seasons to go, and they are like 4 really big ones for her. So it does feel like, the reason I'm bringing her up here is still just knowing that there's a really good chance that her time is going to come. I guess it does, though, just feel weird to put her on here, but it's similar to a little bit of like I think we put CT on at a time that was like, I think he also went out early. I think it might have been one of his fight seasons, maybe one of the couple. Where it's just like she still maintains a very relevant spot to the franchise. It's just tough because we watch 7 more episodes that don't have her on the season, and so she fades out a little bit of our memory at this point. She's not even at the reunion.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like it's almost like Spring Break Challenge was the place that she jumps out in my mind, just in terms of how much the show values her and how much she is a face of this show. But I have a really hard time saying this is the season.
Because this season for her is, I mean, she's by Kenny's side, obviously. She's one of his allies, but just ends up getting put into elimination and plucked off in an effort to weaken Kenny's side. And she has like a big moment, like she really wanted to win. She really gets mad at her partner for not helping her get that win. But it's like not really pushing. I don't know. It's like I'm so like on the fence there. I mean,
if it was up to you, would you do it?
Well, so I guess to then get into the next question, if we were going to do it, who would she be replacing? I think I know the answer.
I know in my mind. I don't know if I even want to say, because basically I want to leave suspense for if Paula does not make it. But that's up to you.
We can leave some suspense. I mean, whatever person we're both thinking that she would knock off, like I feel like that will be justified at sometime soon, if and when it happens. It is a little bit of a matter of like, is now the time, because again, 6 seasons in, it's like she's so central. I think what really kills it for her here is not being invited to the reunion. Honestly, it's just like, if she was that important, she should be there.
I don't disagree. I do think that would definitely help her case. I mean, it doesn't feel right. We just haven't seen her in too long right now.
It's a little bit of like Brad's also been around for as many seasons as he has. And I know how he ended up getting on with my push last time, but like, if he had not gotten on last time, he's on his like 6th or 7th season on his own and still like not cracking the top, even though he's around as much as Paul is around right now. So, all right, we'll leave her off.
All right. Now, as far as the men go,
the men. Well, let me start with an probably easy one. Unfortunately, Darrell's performance this season enough to get him back on.
No, unfortunately, and I wish it was.
I know, but anytime someone's on the season that's already been on Mount Rushmore, I feel like it's worth checking in. But no, Darrell, I don't think this is his time to get back on. Well then, where do you want to go next?
Okay, I think that there's probably 2 names you're thinking about, if I'm correct.
You know what? You're correct. You read my mind.
Okay.
I guess let's talk about the one that maybe is less of a likely chance here. Yep. And that to me is Landon. So I have questions and complicated thoughts and feelings when it comes to Landon. I feel like if you ask like a challenge fan, who is your Mount Rushmore of like challenge competitors for all time, for just the men, for just the women, I feel like there's a lot of lists that will have Landon on them. Granted, if you're talking about that list in 2026, that list is going to look like, Bananas, Jordan, CT, blah, 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 blah. People aren't even thinking about
our season 41 Mount Rushmore.
Sorry. But like, you're not even thinking of Evan and Kenny at that point when you're talking about like modern day. And so I think Landon will still come up in that conversation, but a lot of people will say, well, if Landon had continued on, he'd actually be on the Mount Rushmore. But we're talking about right here, right now, where, like I mentioned, I pulled some numbers. I'm looking through it all, and I don't even have to look at numbers to know that through this point in the series, Landon is dominating the physicality of what the challenge is, but only 4 appearances, right? I mean, he's dominated all 4 of those appearances. I would say at least one of those appearances is in the team version of the game where he won with the good guys. And like, yeah, it's like that's how Darrell got some of his wins as well. But maybe that's also what devalues some of Darrell's wins as far as comparing him to the all-time greats, because, you know, the group ran and won the challenge together. And it's not like you can actually use that a ton. I could probably keep rambling, but where are you thinking? What do you think?
Can you give me two big Landon storylines?
Two big Landon storylines. So I think that's a great counterpoint before I even try to answer it. Because we're talking about, again, so that's another, sorry, I'm scrambled.
You're good.
There are so many competitors. Let me like point to like a Jody Weatherton, of like, she also could be an all-time women's.
I was gonna ask
Mount Rushmore,
top of the women's side
of just like someone who like doesn't come back often enough to really earn a spot there, but could be, you know, one of the most dominant performers. Jody is towards the top of the list. I think Veronica is the highest women ranked here because of her 3 wins. But you know, 3 wins at a different time, yada yada yada.
Oh my god, not devaluing a woman's wins. I'm distraught.
I already did it to some men, excuse you.
Yeah, but they deserve it.
Veronica, then Susie, then Jody, then Evelyn, then Coral.
There we go.
Is as far as my, you know, silly list goes. And actually, Susie is tied with Jody and Evelyn. I just that they're going by alphabetical order there. But then Coral is a tier below them, and yada yada yada. So yeah, I mean, physicality and dominating the game itself, like, definitely does come into my mind for the Mount Rushmore of a show that is about physicality and dominating the game and winning money at the end of the day. But does that overpower anybody else on this list and their legacy and the other person that we're going to talk about in a minute?
To me, when we watched Spring Break Challenge, we were like, wow, look at all these people. Why is Landon here? That's weird. Why is he here? And the answer was they filmed Spring Break Challenge after Fresh Meat 2 and knew Landon won.
Yeah.
So I don't think Landon was in MTV's mind, like the face of the franchise really at any point. And I don't think that in my mind, he was ever, unfortunately, like a top 4 male casting. Yes, physically really, really good. But, you know, I said, let's name 2 Landon storylines. And unfortunately, we didn't get to 1. So I don't really feel super compelled to put him on here. I would put him over one other person on this Mount Rushmore, if I'm being real.
You would put him over Brad.
I think someone else might take Brad's spot very soon. And I think it would be useless to put Landon there for the temporary spot
for a minute or 2.
Yes.
So I think that I agree. What I do also think, though, is that as we come to the end of Cutthroat, I feel like I got a lot of things that I feel like would be worth us going back over for these first 2 eras. And Landon is kind of inspiring in me, the thought of like maybe making a specific Mount Rushmore just for the exercise of it all, of like who we view as the top competitors, because it may not be all that different from what the Mount Rushmores currently look like, but that is one that like I would put Landon on over the Miz. And so I just kind of want to have that as like a side practice challenge.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm down for that. I think another activity would be super fun.
Love activities. But this Mount Rushmore has never been designed around just like who are the best physical competitors. If there are other answers that make sense, like Darrell got on as like he's dominating the wins, but at a time where other people's legacies hadn't been overpowering that. And Landon, unfortunately, is at a spot here where he's got a lot of legacies to overcome just by being good at the challenge. So
yeah, I still do feel like Darrell's like he was just a figure in challenge history in the way that I didn't think Landon quite ever hit. I think that Darrell, like when he was on the cast, was like, oh shit, like Darrell's here, from a audience perspective, in a way that Landon more so was shining in retrospect, in my knowledge.
Fair enough. But all right, well, again, we'll circle back to Landon if we do that exercise, you know, again, sometime post Cutthroat, which I think could certainly be in the cards. But it seems like we have another name to discuss here, and I'm going to guess that name is Ryan Kehoe.
Yep. Finally, Ryan Kehoe is there, setting the standard for gays everywhere, as Kenny said sometimes. So look at that. Ryan Kehoe on the all-time men's Mount Rushmore on his final season.
Replacing The Miz. Look at him go. Well, so I guess I'll just turn to you because not only did you already, kind of say that you want to replace Brad, but I think we've been already saying who we might be considering here. You think Wes swaps in for Brad. Is that correct?
I do firmly. I think my argument was Wes had last season over Brad, and still, I know that you thought I had a little bit of future brain working at the time, but even when I look to last season and I think who stood out on just the season or who stood out in terms of what their legacy had built up already, I still think it's Wes over Brad as of last season, and I definitely think this season only does more to contribute to that. I think Wes is one of the go-to guys right now, which is, not going off only the what have you done for me lately, who's MTV thinking about right now, but I think that the faces of the show are Evan, Kenny, Wes, period. I think that in terms of the men's side, I think that Wes has established his role in a way that will support him for quite a few breaks in his challenge history. I don't think I see Wes dropping any time immediately.
Well, I mean, certainly I'm not disagreeing with this swap here. Even as the person that advocated for Brad to get on the board last time around, I honestly, every time that I've thought about it since, I've like weighed in my own head, like, do I still like, is that really what I think? And I do think it's really what I think, especially of like over CT at that point, because CT has just started to fade out. We know he's going to fade back in as early as next season,
sure,
for a specific storyline. But I don't know. I felt so compelled to, get Brad on the board because all of his storylines added up and him and Tori and everything. And it's funny because we're about to get a pretty big Brad season coming up in Cutthroat along the lines of him and Tori back together and how they do on the season. I don't remember in detail. Like, I don't know if Brad's going to finish at the top of the confessional board, all things considered, because Brad's probably one of the like second half players that I think of when it comes to Cutthroat, which does say a lot. There's just so much other action going on with so many other players. So maybe, Cutthroat would come and go and I would still be like, Brad doesn't need to be here in the first place. But switching into talking about Wes, there's no denying, I think, at all, what you are saying at this point, what we have been saying, a couple parts ago of just like, this is like Wes is playing tug of war with Kenny and Evan, and he's winning in such a big way, like pulling it away from both of them. And that's like impressive given how much the show has hyped up Kenny and Evan over the past couple of seasons. But like Wes is coming in and just like giving his own thing, his own gameplay, his own like style of confessional and interacting with the rest of the house that the other two guys try to just like win everybody over with their charm and funny confessionals. And Wes is doing something different. And I think the show is more attracted to that right now. And it's showing in the edit and it's showing in like Kenny being not the top confessionalist of the season. Like, it's just like there's other confessionals being spread around to people like Wes, who is such a strong opposition to him that I feel like, yeah, it just feels like a shift in the show. Obviously, Kenny and Evan are about to be gone and Wes is not going to be gone. So this definitely feels like the time. And again, I'm saying a lot of things, but I don't know. There's a lot to say about Wes at this time in his career.
Is a lot. I think that there are people on this list as I look back in terms of their legacy on the challenge that have been on the previous Mount Rushmores and how many of them make up like the 5, 6, 7 spots. And I think that Wes, like, if would be more in contention with some of these names that like I personally have higher, like the Derricks, the Durrells, etc., that I think probably even like still outrank, or CT, forgot he fall off, still outrank Brad for me personally. But I think that Wes is just like that guy right now. He is built up. He is one of their 4. They will always be trying to get Wes here. He is like very paramount to the what the challenge is right now.
Agreed. I mean, I guess I would be lying if I said I wasn't thinking a little bit about like the Miz of it all still, just like I was last time around, and you were fighting to save him there. Look, I couldn't realistically make an argument of Wes to take Miz's spot with Brad there, considering I get it. I'm not ready to completely ignore Miz. We're still, I don't think we can. I think, as we keep going into the show, like his spot here, it's also, I would say the Miz is inspiring another thought in me where Landon inspired me to want to say, let's make the all-time competitor Mount Rushmore. It's like, same thing. I'm sure I said this last time of like the Miz and other names of his era, like they are the OGs, but it's just, I don't know. I have such a hard time in my brain computing like the OG's place on the current state of Mount Rushmore versus like just like the biggest name. But I don't know. I'm just,
to me, it's like on the actual Mount Rushmore. We're not like, oh, well, Washington hasn't done anything in a while, so let's get Obama up there. Like, that's not like how a Mount Rushmore works.
Well, you know what? I mean, that could be a good point.
Look, I'm down. I would love to, but like, that's not what we're doing. I think that there is a little bit of the because I get it. I definitely want to represent like who are the faces of the show now versus whose legacy is the greatest at that point. And I think that there's I was gonna say come to be a couple of different definitions of Mount Rushmores, like one of them being like who are the founding fathers of and mothers of the challenge. But I think that in my mind what we had been doing is like who have the 4 biggest legacies at this moment, whereas I think that who are the 4 faces of the franchise at this moment are very different. And I think sometimes leans slightly more where I find you thinking, if that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's going to happen is, like I said, Landon inspiring this project because Landon's not on the list right now. At a point that when/if the Miz falls off, if Veronica falls off, if Beth falls off, like if God forbid Coral falls off at any point, I don't know if and when all of these are going to happen, but it is going to inspire me to want us to do the activity as well of just like who are the OG legends Mount Rushmore that like can never be changed. But that's not for today.
Yeah, look, you almost gave me a heart attack naming all those names at once. Like really, truly, and truly, almost passed away on podcast.
We'll see. It's not today. We have plenty of time before we have to make any brash decisions about
when them. You've asked, will these names fall off at some point? Yes, but it's not for Brad. But it's not for Brad. And I think it takes a big name to knock out a Titan like some of these people.
I mean, I know you didn't agree with it, but is it like egregious to you that I put Brad up there?
Yes.
Wow.
Like I said,
you would have left it at CT, or no, you would have put Wes there.
I would have changed it to Wes. It's just and again, like I was a child, teenager / young adult at the airing of all of the seasons that we have watched so far. I would need to check the dates exactly, but. So like maybe my memory is not always the clearest. Maybe I was not involved in the message boards online, but like I have a very clear memory in my head of who I like thought were, and this has not always lined up. I have not always gotten my way by any means on these whatsoever. But to me, Brad was never that guy. And Brad was like, oh yeah, and I was someone who really started watching like every single episode only a little bit before Brad's Real World season. So he's very much in my era where a lot of these people were not. And I still never had the reverence for Brad over a lot of these people.
I would say I'm definitely open to retroactively changing it. I think I want to check out a little bit of Cutthroat first and maybe like you just really feel out, especially where he is at that point, because I can see myself, signing off on going back to putting Wes on as early as you had wanted him to. But let me just think on it some more.
That's fine. I'm totally look, I think I don't. I'm like, do I love the precedent? Because we're just going to argue so much more in the future.
But we've changed things before. It's fine.
No, that's true. That's true. Just never on the all time. But I am. Look, if it means getting Brad off here, I'm open.
All of our changes so far have just been on the regular. Yeah, I guess.
I believe so. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll determine that at a future date. But regardless, we do end here with the same all-time women's Mount Rushmore, which has not changed since the island when we added Evelyn. Now 4 seasons in a row, not counting spring break, which is going to be how this goes going forward. I'm never counting spring break in these totals.
Agreed.
Beth, Evelyn, Coral, and Veronica for the 4th season in a row stay at the top of the all-time women's list. And on the men's side, we do have now The Miz, Evan, and Kenny with the addition of Wes. So, and fitting that Wes is shaded red on our chart. So,
that is nice.
Get it? Because he's a redhead, and that's all that Kenny talks about.
Oh, I was thinking because he's the devil.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Because it was original fresh meat color.
Oh, yeah, that too. Next up is, of course, Cutthroat. A couple things. Let me start off with saying that our coverage of Cutthroat might look a little different. Well, I guess details to come as we get into it, but we might just be changing up the episode count of what we're doing in different parts of the season. It's probably going to be our first 6-parter by the math of how we've scheduled it all out. We might be doing more of what we did today in the wrap up as a little bit of its own podcast, maybe with like the reunion attached, but all that to say that we will lay out the exact details of what episode will be in what part over in the patron group chat on Patreon. So if you are a patron of the podcast, a little bit of an extra perk that, we'll have the exact rundown before we even post the podcast. So that's that. But the lineup for Cutthroat, let's start with some big returns that will be back next season. I'm going to start with 2 people that will be back, but not as competitors. We have Mercenaries joining the show next season. And CT may not be on the Mount Rushmore right now, but he, alongside also former Mount Rushmore for one time only, Tina, will both be back next season for a brief moment in time.
Yeah, the female Brad in my mind.
So. Maybe I should be Brad there.
No, I'm excited to see the Mercenaries. It was just like absolutely mind-blowing at the time, and I'm so curious to see how it plays on a rewatch.
Yeah, Tina's been gone for, she's been off for 6 seasons now. So been a minute since we have seen her. CT has technically been off for 2 seasons, although it's been 4 seasons since he stuck around for longer than 5 minutes. So, you know. We haven't spent much time with either of them lately, but they will be back, not as competitors, of course, as Mercenaries. We'll see that soon. Also returning after a little bit of some time off, we have Melinda's back. We've all been waiting. We have Tyler Duckworth is back after 4 seasons away. He'll be competing.
There we go.
Abram is back.
Abram is back.
There's that.
No. Oh no.
Dan Walsh is back. What? from the island. Made a bit of a mark on the island, but not enough that I would have expected this. But 3 seasons away, and now he's back. 2 seasons away, but we have Big Easy and Tori Hall both back. Tori and Brad back together. That. And people that have not were not on Fresh Meat, but will be back after 1 season off. We have Katie, we have Brad, Derek Kaczynski, Johnny Bananas, Dunbar, Siobhan, and Chet will all be back.
Mixed reactions on those. I don't know if I was actually very excited about any of them.
Katie.
True. How dare I?
How dare you?
No, real. Punch me. Beat me down like Kenny threatened Wes.
You're like, ow, like from far. Anyway, so returning from this season from Fresh Meat, we have Paula is back, Jen is back, Sarah is back alongside her partner Vinny is back. Teresa is back, not with her partner Ryan. Luke is back, not with his partner Evelyn. Mandy is back without Wes. Brandon is back without Caitlin. Cara Maria is back without Darrell, and Laurel is back without Kenny. So a couple of people that were tied to someone this season will be freed of that going into Cutthroat, but they will all be there.
It's interesting. I feel like even though we met a lot of the Fresh Meat 2 cast this season, I think we really get to know them next season.
And unfortunately, I have some news about debuts. Not all of them unfortunate, some of them. Let's start with Derek Chavez. Welcome to the show.
Okay, yeah.
Emily Schramm.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Camilla is not welcome to the show because she's already spring break challenge. So we have met her already, but as far as the main challenge is considered, Camilla is about to arrive on the scene and make a pretty big splash for worse or for worse. So that's coming up. buckle up, everybody get ready. And then we also have a couple more debuts. Aya, I believe is her name. We have Emily Fitzpatrick for her first of 2 seasons. We have JD for his first of 2 seasons, and Ty for his first of 4 seasons.
Whoa. Yeah, I'm interested to see this cast. I feel like, as you have been saying, we're creeping more and more into a new era.
Kind of crazy. And then when we're done with Cutthroat again is when kind of planning some like looking back on the first 2 eras of the show kind of podcast coming your way. Cutthroat is an interesting one for me. I'm excited to get to it. Cutthroat is the one season that I got Taron Armstrong to watch once upon a time. When I went through my first binge, it was just like one that really stuck with me. I really liked it. Curious to see how I feel about it this time around. But so when Taron was talking about getting into the challenge, when the Big Brother people started getting into it, we were talking and he was like, what season would I watch? I said Cutthroat. And that's the one season that he's ever watched of the show.
Well, I don't think he continued. So
no,
we'll see how it holds up.
I don't know if that's on Cutthroat or on his enjoyment of the type of show that this was. But we'll see if we can pinpoint exactly
what leans one way.
We'll see if we can pinpoint exactly what turned him off. Anything else on Fresh Meat for now?
No, I'm excited to jump into Cutthroat, Fresh Meat 2. Thank you for introducing a bunch of people for better or for worse. But I am ready to move on.
Yeah. All right. Well, same here. Plenty more to come with this rewatch. Up next again is Cutthroat, so get ready for that. I do believe that just at least as far as the first episode goes, we're currently planning on that just being the premiere episode of Cutthroat. We'll talk about who's there, how the house is set up and laid out and all that stuff, and what happens in episode 1 before we get into, again, trying to figure out how the rest of the season is going to go. But that's it for now. Of course, we are doing so much more every single week over on Patreon, patreon.com/The Free Agents Podcast. Weekly bonus episodes talking about all things Love Island, Drag Race, Big Brother coming up here. So lots of fun topics along the way. Check that out and support us if you want to support the podcast, even if not, to just get all that extra content. All of these episodes do go up there early and ad-free. 2 pretty good perks if you ask me, but I don't know. Maybe you don't ask me. Scally, at the time of this coming out, this is this week actually. We're pretty much in real time. Love Island is still going.
We're getting towards the end of Love Island. It's been super fun. Check out the pods with myself and Kirsten on the RHAP Dating YouTube, on the We Know Love Island feed, etc. Might have some fun guests this week checking into the pod when Kirsten is away.
That sounds really fun. I can't wait to find out who that was in the past. But definitely sounds like fun. And of course, check out the Diary Room podcast. Upcoming one more week of the podcast. If you're listening to this in real time, one more episode before the Big Brother 28 season with a legend. Big Brother 27's own Morgan Pope is on the podcast this week. So make sure to check that out. Plus some really fun episodes that we've had in the past couple of weeks and all the time talking Big Brother year round on the Diary Room. But that's going to do it for now. Also, if you don't want to, if Patreon's not your thing, you can always support us for free by just going to the iTunes, Apple Podcast store, whatever feed, Spotify feed, and giving us a 5-star rating and review. All that super helpful. Much appreciated. But that's it for now. Thank you all so much for being here with us through the entirety of our Fresh Meat 2 coverage. Until next time, take care, and we hope to see you all in the future.